Do it. Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega and we're going to be doing the daily collective read for today, Tuesday, February 14th, 2023, Valentine's Day. What do we have coming forward in the cards today? May I please have the first card for our 5-card spread? First card coming out right now makes a lot of sense based on what we saw with the card of the day. Communication coming through right now with the 8 of Wands. This is positive communication. This is things moving and progressing in the way that you hope. So we are very happy to see this card, particularly as it aligns to the card of the day, which we received today, which was the Ace of Wands. Can I please get another card for our 5-card spread? Whoa, we've got 2 cards coming out right now. Something about this communication is very important or significant that we're seeing here. Some of it might not necessarily be entirely of the best nature, I will also point out though, because we're also seeing here the 5 of Pentacles with the Page of Wands in its reversal. So while there is communication happening, there is some circumstance or situation that is still kind of rising up in your circumstances, as is being indicated by this 5 of Pentacles, some sort of abandonment wound that is being triggered right now, potentially around some energy that is not communicating to you in the way that you would hope, or not communicating to you at all, considering that there's a Page of Wands in its reversal. But we do see here that this is not necessarily blocking any and all communication, and that there still is some positive communication that is occurring while this is still kind of in the space. We are going to continue to get clarification on these cards. Can I please get another card for the 5-card spread that we are starting our day with? The next card we are seeing right now is 4 of Swords. So this can really indicate that while there is some communication happening, a lot of communication in certain avenues right now, there are some areas that are still being blocked, which is being indicated by this 5 of Pentacles in its reversal with the Page of Wands in its reversal. And this is a moment where you're really kind of allowing yourself to have some rest or a moment of pause around some of this communication that is not necessarily moving forward, but that is not stopping communication entirely, because we're still seeing a lot of communication present for today. Can I please get the next card in our 5-card spread? All right. Next card we are seeing right now is a Wheel of Fortune in its reversal. So again, this is a moment that is causing some indication around some past experience or something that has not necessarily been working in your favor in your life, but also a point of acceptance that we see coming through on this circumstance or situation, allowing yourself to truly kind of understand at this point what is not necessarily meant for you, and understanding how to kind of move forward on your path as you continue from this point. So some consideration for the past as we see this movement toward forward, which we like. Woo! The final card for our 5-card spread to begin with today is Balance, coming through right now with the Justice card. So a lot of this happening today, some of this communication, it is meant to kind of let some things come to rest and to restore balance in some way, shape, or form to your life. So I am not hating these cards that we are seeing today. Let's drill down and get some clarification on these cards right now. Clarifying right now the areas right now that you are getting a lot of communication in, as is indicated by this 8 of Wands, but also some communication that you are feeling is blocked. This could even be driving some communication towards some energy where you are having some abandonment wound triggered and there is some kind of difficulty of communication or no communication at all. May I please get one card to clarify? Conflict coming through right now with the 5 of Wands. So something about the communication today, we want to be a little bit cautious about where you put that communication energy, because while we do see that there is a lot of communication happening today, there are some areas where there are abandonment wounds being triggered around whatever this communication is, and this is causing some sort of block that is also addressing some sort of conflict that needs to be addressed or kept in mind. Or this can actually be either an external conflict or an internal one that you yourself are facing around whatever the circumstance or situation is. Continuing to get clarity right now on these cards, getting clarity right now between this abandonment wound that is potentially being triggered around some energy that you do not feel that the communication is occurring in the productive fashion that you desire, or it's not happening at all, but also giving this moment an opportunity to rest, giving yourself this moment to restore and to reflect and to go into a place of positivity even as you're experiencing the situation, creating this sense of rest for yourself in terms of moving forward. Can I please get one card to clarify? We have here I love it. I love it. We've got High Priestess energy coming up here. So this is a moment of restoration that we're seeing around some areas right now where you do not necessarily feel the communication is positive and that has been triggering an abandonment wound. This is a moment where you're kind of allowing yourself to let go, to rest, to reflect, understanding that this is creating a space of higher spiritual guidance. Now, this is going to hit a little bit differently depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. For feminine, this is a moment of feeling like you're truly coming into your power, particularly around some of these circumstances where communication has not been ideal or has been triggering some abandonment wounds. You're giving yourself this sense of peace, you're giving yourself this sense of rest around it, and this is what's creating this moment of restoration. While for masculine right now, this could be a moment of rest or peace that you're creating right now for yourself as you kind of are feeling this abandonment wound triggered, as you're feeling that there is some communication that is potentially blocked or causing some circumstances that make it difficult for you to communicate, specifically around a high priestess energy, so someone who is moving from a place of spiritual insight. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now, getting clarity between this moment of rest, this moment of restoration coming through with the Four of Swords, along with the Wheel of Fortune in its reversal. So kind of being allowing yourself to accept the things that were not necessarily on your path, seeing why they truly aren't necessarily for you, and giving yourself this peace of mind as you proceed forward from this point. May I please get one card to clarify? We have coming out right now the Devil energy. The Devil energy coming through right now. So there's something about these circumstances or these situations that is creating a bit of a trigger point. And this is also potentially why you're allowing this moment of rest around them, because it is this understanding that whatever you're moving away from, whatever is not necessarily serving your highest self or your highest purposes, it was triggering some of these coping mechanisms that are not necessarily positive for you, that are causing some of these bad habits or these bad modalities of thought to surface, potentially even having some relation to toxic connections or toxic relationships that were not necessarily keeping you in your highest spiritual framework or your highest spiritual potential. This is the area that you're kind of being able to get the clarity you need on why these were not necessarily working to your highest purpose. And this is what you're allowing yourself to move forward with as you give yourself this space from them. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now, getting clarity between this moment of the Wheel of Fortune and its reversal. So looking at these circumstances or situations that were not necessarily aligned to your path, having this understanding and this surrender that they were not necessarily for you, and allowing yourself to move forward from these points because of this sense of balance that you are trying to create right now in your own life as you go forward from these points. May I please get one card to clarify? We have here our one card being, this is an Eight of Cups in its reverse moment. So we do see here that there is a little bit of a blockage. I will point out this is a bit of a blockage that we're seeing here, because we do see that there are some of these circumstances are still weighing on you. And even though you're trying to create a sense of balance, you might not necessarily be completely ready to walk away from them entirely yet. This would explain some of the communication that we're still seeing that is very much related to these situations that are opening abandonment wounds, and why we still have the Devil coming out here around these situations. You are trying to find some moment of restoration around these, even if that is feeling somewhat problematic at this time, and that is what you're truly hoping to fix and amend. Let us continue to get clarity on these cards. Some very powerful cards coming through today. Getting clarity right today between this Five of Wands energy, so this feeling of conflict. And for feminine, letting this moment of conflict, be it either external or internal, bringing you to this higher spiritual reference, bringing you into this higher spiritual framework. For masculine right now, this could be some kind of internal conflict that you are potentially facing around a manifestation of the feminine energy that you feel is kind of operating from this higher spiritual mindset. May I please get one card to clarify? We have here, this is a moment someone's being generous, that there's some generosity being put towards this conflict, as is being indicated by the Six of Pentacles. So this could also explain why there might be some of this this communication going through even into areas that you may feel there is some kind of block occurring right now. Because we do see here that for feminine, even though there is a point of conflict, you're trying to address this conflict by being as generous as possible towards it. While as for masculine right now, there is a sense that there is a conflict that is occurring right now, potentially around a manifestation of feminine that you do feel is in their high priestess energy, and trying to be generous towards that energy as you address this conflict, be it internal or external. Very interesting combination of cards there. Very curious to get more clarity on that. Really interested in getting clarity on these two cards, because getting clarity right now between the high priestess and the devil energy. So again, hitting a little different depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy. For feminine right now, this is a moment where you're moving into a higher spiritual mindset, even as you have some attention being called towards some non-helpful, non-spiritual attachments that you may have. These could be dealing with coping mechanisms, addictions, bad modalities of thought, potentially even toxic relationships, but really kind of having this like push-pull between these two forces, your higher spiritual self or more of those base instincts, versus a masculine right now that is also feeling the struggle point between these lower vibrational connections and energies against some sort of manifestation of the feminine energy that is coming through in this spiritual, like it's almost like a spiritual battle that we're really seeing between these 2 points right now. Can I please get one card to clarify? Our one card for today in terms of the clarification. I cannot wait to see what this card is. There's an indecision point happening here. There is a bit of a friction here, because again, what we're really seeing is for feminine right now, this is a moment where again, you kind of are having your eyes very clear onto what is kind of for you in terms of your higher spiritual path, and having this observation of what is kind of keeping you in this more lower vibrational energy, but also feeling a bit unsure and overwhelmed as it relates to how to move forward from this point, determining whether you're going to stay in this energy or allow these kind of like lower vibrations to kind of come back in. For masculine right now, this is a moment where you are similarly facing quite a decision here around kind of your lower level instincts versus that high priestess energy that could be coming towards you right now in a manifestation of feminine, but also feeling overwhelmed and uncertain about how to proceed, given the fact that you are not necessarily moving from your emotional center. I will always point out whenever we see this card, given the fact that you are not necessarily moving from your emotional center. I will always point out whenever we see this card, given the fact that you are not necessarily moving from your emotional center. I will always point out whenever we see this card, especially given the fact that these are two such very contrary cards that we are seeing. Continuing to get clarity right now between this devil energy that we are seeing right now. So this feeling about addressing some kind of toxic connections, bad modalities of thought, potentially even addictions rising to the surface, but also having a moment of inability or struggle as you choose to move forward from this point, potentially because some of these trigger points are being hit for you right now, and whatever these circumstances or situations are coming about right now via the communication that you're having, potentially. Can I please get one card to clarify? We have here, I like it though. I like it because this is one of my favorite cards to see in its reversal. We have here our Seven of Swords in its reversal. You guys know what I say. We don't go back to the sword store for puppies or kittens. We only go back to the sword store and can only expect one thing there, which is swords. So this is a moment right now that even as you are kind of unsure about how to proceed and you're feeling a little stuck in making a choice, you're also getting clarity today on some circumstances or situations that have caused a struggle point in the past, and really coming to the determination potentially around some of this devil energy that we're seeing here, that these harmful toxic connections, these harmful modalities of thought, potentially even some of these harmful relationships, they're really only bringing one thing into your life, and that is more pain, more conflict, more struggle. And so this is what's allowing you the space to be able to properly move away from them. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now, some very, very intriguing cards in today's daily collective read. Getting clarity right now between the Six of Pentacle energy. So trying to move towards something right now with a generous mindset, trying to be as generous as possible, but also feeling a moment of of uncertainty and overwhelm as you decide on your path forward, on what you're going to move towards and what you're going to kind of leave behind. And really asking yourself, taking this time today, a big suggestion to ground, to really focus on what direction you want to go into, that you're going to be generous towards. And also like looking towards what is being generous towards you as you make this decision. I will also point out, we have one card coming up right now, and there she is. She doesn't want to stay in the deck over the last few weeks. We've got our Queen of Cups energy coming through right now. This is going to feel a little different depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy right now. For feminine energy, this sense of generosity, even in a state of overwhelm or uncertainty, is what's going to help bring you clarity right now. The more that you're able to focus on your own emotions, the more you're able to really get to the heart of your own emotional center, this is the place that you're putting your generosity and your time into right now, hoping that it is going to give you the clarity as you decide your steps moving forward. For masculine right now, this could be feeling the sense of being generous or trying to be generous towards a manifestation of feminine energy. This could actually even be a different energy than the High Priestess. So again, we saw this yesterday in the daily collective read, a lot of feminine energy around the masculine energy right now, as they try to determine where to move forward from, with kind of a concentration between a manifestation of feminine that's potentially more in their spiritual mindset versus one that is more kind of in a place of their emotional center. And using this to help you make the decision on where you're going to be generous right now as you make the choices about where you're going to go moving forward. Continuing to get clarity on these points right now, getting clarity between this Seven of Cups energy. So this state of overwhelm that you might potentially be feeling right now, uncertainty as it relates to the choices that you need to make moving forward, but also strongly making the lessons of asking yourself not to go back to circumstances or situations that have caused you pain, understanding that the one choice that you are very certain on is you don't want to go back to places that are causing struggle, but also kind of potentially seeing right now that this uncertainty on how to avoid these areas of potential past struggle could also be causing some sense of overwhelm as you decide your steps moving forward. Can I please get one card to clarify? We've got two cards coming out right now. And there's that counterpart to the Queen of Cups. There's that counterpart to the Queen of Cups. There he is, the King of Cups in its reversal. So this is now showing a bit of the conflict point that some of you may be experiencing right now as it relates to do with these energies, bearing in mind that they're not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. So what are we seeing right now? For feminine, we see that there is this opening of the heart space, trying to reach your emotional center. While there is some representation potentially of masculine that you're facing that you do not feel is in that same space, they may be feeling overly emotional, which makes it hard to connect with them, or feeling like their emotionality is being completely cut off. And one of the things that's rising to the surface around this is the unknown, the things that you don't know around this circumstance or situation that is causing this moment of conflict, these secrets that have not been answered. This, for the emotion, for the feminine, is moving them into a deeper emotional center as they're trying to get to the bottom of it, while for masculine, we're seeing that this is causing a bit of a block instead. So a bit more of an emotional difficulty right now for the masculine energy, even as they try to deal with these things that are unknown. While for feminine, this is again, as we saw, this return back to the heart space that we continually see as we get to this, like, over the last few weeks. The final card for today's spread, clarifying this very tricky situation or circumstance that we're seeing around these two cards. So a feminine energy that's moving more into their emotional center, while a masculine is struggling with that same emotionality, almost feeling that overwhelm of the emotions. So in a way they are reflecting each other, but not in the best way possible. But for both, dealing with some of the unknowns, some of the things that are hidden, trying to get to the bottom of them. The final card for today's spread is intriguing. Intriguing, intriguing, intriguing. A King of Pentacles in its upright. So this is going to hit very different depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy, because what we're really seeing here is for feminine, there is a moment, and this explains some of all this communication that we're seeing, whereas for feminine, there is this moment where feminine is looking at potentially two different manifestations of masculine energy in their space right now. one of which is emotionally blocked or has an emotional overwhelm, which makes it difficult to connect with them, particularly because it feels that there are some secrets or some unknowns around this energy. And this is some attention being drawn instead towards a representation of masculine that you feel is more grounded, more centered, more stable, that may be able to potentially connect with you more from this emotional space because of their stability. Whereas but also feeling that emotional disconnect around this energy that is not in this emotional center. While for masculine energy right now, what we're really seeing is this moment where you are feeling necessarily potentially disconnected from your emotionality or overly emotional, potentially based around some unknowns or uncertainties in your own life that may have something to do with an emotional with the manifestation of feminine that you feel is being very emotionally clear or is sharing their emotions with you. But that there's something about this that shows that rather than kind of addressing this emotional deficit that masculine energy is feeling, they're moving more into a place of trying to ground in the stabilizing forces of their material world right now with this King of Pentacles. This is really kind of a moment where the masculine energy is turning towards itself to kind of deepen their own security, even in them because they're experiencing some issue around an emotionally centered feminine that is potentially triggering them around some things that they don't know about their own emotionality. I just report the news, folks. I just report the news. I just report feminine that is potentially triggering them around some things that they don't know about their own emotionality. I just report the news, folks. I just report the news. I just report energies, what those energies are doing, how to basically navigate them. And there is some feeling that these outside energies are having some kind of potentially non-necessarily positive influence on what is going on right now in your life. This could also be an addressing right now of the energies that you're allowing into your life and really asking yourself if they're aligned to your highest self or if they're kind of triggering you or causing some of these moments of uncertainty. So regardless, a really interesting read today, having a lot to do with outside energies and navigating those energies, but more than anything, lots of communication coming through as well today. That is our daily collective read for the day. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading, it's a two-step process. You have to pay for the reading and book the reading. Please make sure to hit both buttons so that we can have our reading. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and we will do this again tomorrow.